Okay then gang, so this is a quick preview of what we're going to be building in this chapter. It's a small UI library. It's only got a few different features, but it's going to give you a good idea on how to construct this kind of thing for yourself and maybe extend it in the future. So it's going to be similar to things like the Bootstrap JavaScript library or the Materialize JavaScript library, in that it offers us these different kinds of components. Now, the components we're going to add to this library are going to be tooltips like this, drop downs where we can click on something and it's going to drop down. We can do tabbed content like this, which shows different content down here depending on which button we click, and also toasts, which offer little notifications at the top. So this is the small UI library we're going to build with these different features, and then in the future you could extend it if you wanted to, and maybe in the future I'll extend it as well and add more to it. So to create this project, we're going to be starting from our Webpack boilerplate that I showed you at the end of the last chapter. So I've already downloaded that from GitHub, and I can see that over here. If I open up this folder, all of the contents inside boilerplate is right here. Now I've also created a new project called UI lib project, and I'm going to go into there, then I'm going to copy all of this stuff and I'm going to paste it into this folder right here. So this UI lib project is also open inside VS Code. So now if I expand that, we should see everything in here ready. So again, we have our source folder where all of our source files will go. And in here we have the assets and the index.html. Now the index.html is linked up to bundle.js, which is inside assets. That's where our JavaScript will ultimately be output. So we also have this webpack.config file, which is taking into consideration Babel. So everything is being processed through the Babel loader. We also have the dev server set up and the entry and output points set up as well. Now, the first thing we need to do is open up a terminal, and we need to cd first of all into ui-lib-project to get into the project directory. Then we need to run npm install to install all the packages inside the package.json file right here that we need for this project. Once that's done, we should see the node modules folder over here on the left as well. So now we've done that, we could go ahead if we wanted to and run npm run serve, which is what I'm going to do, npm run serve like so. And this should spin up the local development server provided by Webpack Dev Server. And if we open this in a browser, now we see we have a completely blank project. So I'm just going to go over to index.js and say console.log test to make sure this is working, and save that, and we can see test over here. So this is all working. Now what I'd like to do inside the source folder, all of our UI library stuff is going to go in here, but I want to create a new folder called Ninja UI, and this is going to contain all of the JavaScript for our UI library. Then inside index, what we can do is just import the stuff that we need from the different files we'll place in here later on. But before we start writing any JavaScript or any components inside this folder, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about how we're going to be handling the UI library CSS in this project. Because what I'd like to do is keep the library CSS and JavaScript together inside this folder right here. And that means we're going to need to process our CSS through Webpack using a CSS loader, because this is in the source folder, not the distribution folder. So we want to take up whatever CSS we have here and output it into the assets folder eventually. So we'll kick things off in the next video by talking about how we're going to do that.